Hi, and welcome to another episode of Mr. Avila Physics. Today we're going to be talking about forces and Newton's first law of motion. First, let's define what a force is. A force is defined as a push or a pull resulting from an object's interaction with another object. So when you push or pull an object, you're applying a force to that object. If you stop pushing or pulling, then the object stops experiencing a force. Okay? Now, forces can be described as contact forces or forces at a distance. Contact forces are such forces that require the two objects to be in contact with each other, such as pushing or pulling. And forces at a distance are forces that the objects don't need to be in contact, like the force of gravity or the magnetic force or other forces like that. Okay. Now, forces and motion are closely related. If an object is at rest and I want to get it to move, then I need to apply a force to change that state of motion. The same way that if an object is moving at constant velocity and I want to change its velocity, then I have to apply a force. Whether the change in velocity is a change of magnitude or a change of direction, I need to apply a force either way. As long as no force is applied, then that object will either remain at rest or it will continue to move with constant velocity, which is the basis of Newton's first law of motion. Newton's first law of motion states, an object at rest stays at rest and an object in motion stays in motion with the same speed and in the same direction unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. This law is also known as the law of inertia. Inertia is defined as an object's tendency to resist changes in its state of motion. So, an object wants to stay in the same state of motion. If an object is at rest, it wants to remain at rest. If an object is moving with constant velocity, then it wants to keep moving with that constant velocity. And inertia is that tendency, that property that objects have to not want to change its state of motion. Inertia is not a force. Alright, I'm going to repeat that. Inertia is not a force. An object does not move or not move because of inertia. No, inertia is just that tendency that objects have to resist changes in motion. Newton's first law is often referred to as the law of inertia because of the definition of inertia. Now, let's look at some examples here. A school bus comes to a sudden stop and all of the backpacks on the floor start to slide forward. What force causes them to do that? Pause the video here, think about it, and select an answer. Alright, welcome back. Okay, as we can see, as we just mentioned, right, the backpacks slide forward because that's what they were doing. When the backpacks were inside the bus, they were moving forward with the bus. When the bus stops, the backpacks all have a tendency to keep doing what they were doing. So the force of gravity did not cause them to move, right? Inertia, we just said that inertia is not a force, so inertia can't be the answer. The force of the bus didn't really apply a force to any of the backpacks. So our answer is D, none of the above. Okay? So it's not a force that causes the objects to move, right? It is their inertia. Okay, backpacks wanted to continue their state of motion. They wanted to keep their velocity. They wanted to maintain their velocity. So, okay, that's why the backpacks move forward. Alright, let's talk a little bit more about inertia. Okay? Now, all objects have inertia. All objects want to resist changes in their state of motion. But do some objects have more of a tendency to resist changes than others? Do some objects, is it more difficult to change the state of motion of some objects? Yes, right? A more massive object has a greater resistance to change. So the more inertia that an object has, the more mass that object has. Okay, so inertia and mass are very closely related. A more massive object is going to be harder to move or to stop moving if it was already moving. Okay, so more mass, more inertia. Let's look at another example. Fred spends most Sundays afternoon at rest on the sofa watching TV and consuming large quantities of food. What effect does this practice have upon his inertia? Pause the video here, take a minute or two, and see if you can select the correct answer. Well, welcome back. Now, if Fred stays sitting down eating large quantities of food, he is going to gain mass. As he gains mass, his inertia will increase. Alright, I hope this short video explained Newton's first law and the concepts of inertia. Okay, and thank you for watching. I'll see you on our next video.